Tim Priester with Tim O'Malley here from the Media Hotel in New Orleans, the Sheraton. We had anticipated doing a pregame incident analysis. This is an incident analysis brought to you by the RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana, but it's not a pregame because Notre Dame's battle with Georgia here in the Sugar Bowl has been postponed today. We're not really here to editorialize on exactly what happened, but Tim O'Malley and I spent quite a bit of time walking through that intersection on the corner of Canal and Bourbon Street, including last night. I went through that. I went through that intersection 4 times. Yeah, it could have. I mean, and you certainly think about that. And you went through that intersection a whole bunch in the last few days.
The last few days, I've been going down and meeting friends quite often, and that's the intersection you use. It was obviously targeted for that reason, but it really, I mean, I think most of my family knew I was safe because my 3:15 a.m. days are far past me. But as I said, it could have been at any evening hour, and that would have been an issue there. And it's impacted a lot more than the football game as well.
Well, no doubt about it. And I mean, just the personal situation. I mean, I fortunately I left early down there. And 10 people dead, 35 injured, or at least 10.
At least
I should
10.
say
There's
dead. And
growing,
and the FBI has declared this as an act of terrorism. So I think, initially when you hear it, you think, okay, well, maybe the game will still be played. But with each passing minute or 15 minutes, you quickly realize, especially when the FBI was involved and stated that there was an ISIS state flag on the truck, and so you knew that they were going to call in the FBI, and the authorities were immediately at the Superdome. The employees that were supposed to check in early, they were put on delay so that the authorities could go through and check the Superdome and make sure it was safe. But with each passing minute, it just wasn't going to happen. So, Tim, I mean, from a football perspective, and that's really what we're here to talk about, Notre Dame has to play tomorrow. If they were to beat Georgia, they would have 2 less days of preparation time. Did you think about that?
Yeah,
2 less days of prep time than Penn State.
I did, and I wonder if the Orange Bowl could be pushed one day.
Yeah, they may have
to accommodate the situation. When I said it's a lot more involved in football, I didn't even mean obviously the injured deceased. What I meant was the people here that came for their vacation. They came for their game. A lot of them are going to have to go home. I spoke with a Notre Dame fan from Peoria, Illinois, in the hotel elevator an hour ago. He has to go home probably. I spoke to a family from Hattiesburg. They are going home to the effort to come back because it's a 2-hour drive and there's the hotel situation. So it's impacting a lot of people. You have to remember that this is not a weekend yet. The holiday situation is over, and it's a tough situation. I do wonder, and I asked our colleague John, if this was a lower level bowl game, if it would be canceled.
I would imagine.
I would imagine it would be as well.
Although, I mean, the impact to the community, these bowl games. I know a lot. I know a lot of people look at bowl games and they especially now call them meaningless bowl games, but they're not meaningless to the community in which they are played, and all the people, the hundreds of people that commit their time and effort into pulling off a bowl game. So, I mean, that is going to have to be something that. They're going to have to address in Miami, whether it's Notre Dame or I say from Notre Dame's perspective.
From both perspectives.
Absolutely. If Georgia, it's not a baseball game; it's a football game, and that's a 2-day delay for a football team, or a 2-day advantage for a football team is an unfair advantage. So that'll be something that they have to address.
I was interested in the Notre Dame's actually, if people that aren't down here, and a lot of people down here know the media hotel for Notre Dame is a solid half mile, actually more than a half a mile away from where the incident happened. Georgia's, I don't give away media hotel information ever, but Georgia's hotel is right there.
Yeah.
Georgia's hotel is across the street from ours, which is 2 blocks away. And that's certainly there was hotels evacuated in the area as well. I don't believe Georgia's hotel was evacuated.
But the rooms on the second floor along Bourbon Street, they had to evacuate those people. As I was walking out last night, and like I said, it pays to be older than most of the people in the media because I was going home ahead of time. I certainly wasn't going to be out at 3:15 a.m. But as I was leaving, all those people in the hotel rooms on the second level. Of course, they had to evacuate those people, right? I mean, just I can't even imagine. Again, I walked through the intersection 4 times yesterday. It's the last thing that you have on your mind. Notre Dame, I know at one point, I'm sure it's been I'm sure this has changed, and this has all been so fluid that it's hard to keep up with it. But at one point, the Notre Dame football team was apparently on lockdown in their hotel just for security's sake.
And they had a mass. My friend Sean mentioned there was almost 1,000 people at that Hilton's mass today, and I think you've seen probably some versions. The Alma Mater was sung after the mass, so that was a nice moment. It was supposed to be open to the public. I don't know if that ever ended up happening, or if you had to be staying at the Hilton at that point. I'm guessing you had to be staying at the Hilton, because if you're locking down, then that would be the situation. Sure. But that's. Now they have to go play football. It is going to be interesting. Both teams, I mean, you figure there's obviously going to be more than a moment of silence before this game. There's probably going to be a show of solidarity between the teams before the game that you would never see. I mean, I'm the idiot that always jokes about I love a good tunnel fight. That's not something you're looking at. This is like there's probably going to be a moment where the teams come together beforehand, and then you have to, and they're able to, but then you have to immediately get into mode of, all right, now I'm going to go hit somebody as hard as I can.
Well, I mean, think about it. They woke up in a game mode frame of mind. Right. I woke up in a game frame of mind, but I don't have to
269 messages. I knew something was wrong, so there was. I didn't think it would be this though.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if there's an advantage or a disadvantage one way, other than the winner of this game having to play Penn State, who's playing pretty good football. So
before we went on, and Tom, the intern, mentioned that there was still possible reports, and when Pete Thelmo tweets it out, it makes it a possible report that the game could be played earlier than 7:45 tomorrow. I mean, that makes sense to me. I don't. You're not playing a game at 7:45 if you haven't cleared everything in terms of security. If you can't play it at 1:45, so that is something to monitor as well. I'm not sure how that would change things. I think maybe both teams might prefer it. It said part of the tweet was explaining that the teams may have preferred it from a physical performance aspect. They can choose their time, so if they could choose their time, they are choosing to play earlier. Right. I then heard, of course, and this is heard down in the lobby, so this doesn't mean anything, that it's just easier for the Sugar Bowl to keep everything the exact same in terms of ticketing and everything else.
I understand that, but from a viewing perspective, 7:45 here is 8:45 on the East Coast, and that makes a difference. I know, reading our message board, the Four Horsemen Lounge, a lot of people have objected to that, and so is the media too, because it's going to be a really, really late night. But none of that really matters. All that matters is that the authorities here, I think, they made the only decision they could possibly make. So we're
not going to editorialize at all, but I am going to do one thing, because this was 3 days before it happened, having nothing to do with the incident. I have not been here in, I guess, 18, 20 years or so. I could not believe the security presence on Bourbon Street.
That's a great point.
Impressive and notable the entire
time. It wasn't just at night. I'm on the 30th floor, during the day, right, looking down on Canal Street. You saw police with the flashing lights like every.
Yeah, and there were people walking. There were people in the corners. I actually asked an officer which way to go for something.
Yeah,
I mean, they were prominently down there in the daytime and the afternoon. I think that was probably crucial to.
Well, and they have a Super Bowl.
Saving lives. Yes,
they have a Super Bowl to host too. So there's a lot at stake, and a lot of politicians around here gathering together, trying to assure everybody that they're on top of this situation. But it is what it is, and instead of January 1. Georgia versus Notre Dame, it's going to be January 2, Georgia versus Notre Dame. This has been Irish Illustrated's Instant Analysis, brought to you by RVMH Hall of Fame in Elkhart, Indiana.